reached out to the Resistance team for an appearance on the show or any comments. The party chose to not comment. Now we are joined with UNLV's current student body president, Christopher Royce. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
One of the first things that I want to start off with is one of the mission statements that you mentioned in an email that goes to all students and in the town hall meeting is that student safety is a large concern for you. Just how important is student safety?
Well, I mean, I think it's not just important, it's an expectation that students should all have at UNLV. I've worked tirelessly throughout my term to ensure that campus safety is brought up as a real topic of discussion, not only with university officials, but with the administration, the state's officials. So I think it's really important that we make that a strong topic of discussion. I mean, it's an expectation, not just an issue.
Is UNLV being an open campus a concern for you?
Well, I mean, we are a public university, and I think that some of our resources should be available to the public. However, we need to recognize that with an open university comes some challenges that perhaps private universities might not face, and I think that is having students being aware of the environment around them, but also making sure that we are putting in every single possible measure that we can to make sure that students are safe on an open campus.
So what needs to be changed, and what have you been doing in order to ensure campus safety?
That is a loaded question. Well, so there's a lot of things that need to be changed on campus. I think that it starts not only with informing students and giving them the opportunity to be able to learn, not only to protect themselves, but more importantly, it's important that we look at how our current security management systems work. There are 3 different ways to enter any kind of building at this university. We have traditional lock and key methods, we have the proximity cards, and you also have the rebel cards that you can use to access the student union. So with that, there's an issue where there's a disparate access of ease of access to buildings. Another one of the things that I find really important is making sure that we are addressing the issue of emergency notifications, especially with the new emergency phones that we've had gone up, thanks to one of our senators, Samantha Bivens. In the past, she had made a real strong push for those. We want to make sure that the university is communicating with students about emergencies and doing it in an effective and very punctual manner.
So you mentioned the new emergency phones. There's a new app, right? The Rebel Safety app that you guys have been using. Has that been effective? Have people been using that?
Yeah, so there's all kinds of uses for it. You can also request a security officer to walk you or drive you to your car, depending on what their circumstances are. There are also ways to report a tip anonymously, and you can call dispatch, UNLV Police Services directly. You can get push notifications about things happening on campus. And there's also a social media feed on it that UNLV Police Services actually updates.
So I know the students do get notified when an event occurs on campus or even somewhat near campus. Have there been a decrease in attacks like around campus? Have the numbers been proving this?
Well, I think that we are seeing more reports now because people are more aware of what's going on. In the past, to be quite frank, I don't believe that the university was in compliance with Jean Cleary Act. And when I went to a Board of Regents meeting last June, I made that a point that that students aren't aware of what's happening on campus. And so I don't think that crime has particularly changed, but there's been a very different tune to which the university is walking, and it is that they are allocating more resources towards police patrols, security services, and they are also investing millions of dollars now in safety protocols and different resources for students.
So it is definitely important that students know what's happening on campus, and student engagement is a huge thing. I mean, recently, just that package that we saw earlier, you mentioned, some students don't really know what's going on. Is student engagement something you want to focus on, or are you guys okay with people not somewhat knowing?
No, I don't think that our current levels of student engagement are sufficient. I think that us having a commuter campus and having a lot of students coming from off campus and then coming here and going to class and then leaving and going to work and going home and do homework. I mean, that's what I did for 3 years. And I think that it's a serious challenge to reach people. So I think it starts with changing the way the university communicates with students so that we can have a more connected campus. One of the things that I'd like to see happen and that I will push for if elected is making sure that the university actually puts all of its eggs into one proverbial basket with an app. So you can have a one-stop shop where we have the current UNLV mobile app where you can check all your schedules and all those things, but we want to be able to have push notifications and all kinds of different interactive elements of that app so that students can actually feel as if someone's paying attention to their needs.
For students who agree with that and want the same thing, I mean, at that town hall meeting, there was probably less than 20 students. Do you think if more people had gone to, or more people do go to these meetings and events, and whoever is elected, do you think that will help push the agenda, help UNLV kind of realize that other people do want that?
Yeah, I've noticed that the polls that I actually send out to the student body have been effective in oftentimes garnering opinions from students. I think that, honestly, I don't think a whole lot of students find debates to be terribly interesting, just because, if for those, you can also watch it online. I think we need to have more people on the ground informing students of what's happening, and that's one of the things that I'd really like to see change, is getting people out there to actually tell students that we're having a debate or we're having X, Y, or Z event.
And for students who disagree, for people who don't want, the same things you want, we do have like a free public speech walkway where people can kind of spread their opinions. We've mentioned on the show before political ideology on campus.
Right.
Do you think that we are kind of a too liberal environment? Do you think we should be pushing for more conservative views or be more accepting of it? Do we represent all students?
Well, I think that's a really good topic to bring up. I think that there's a lot of students who feel like they're left out of the conversation no matter what side of the political spectrum they're on. And I've always been a champion of free speech and people sharing their opinions and their ideas. And I think that no matter who you are, you should feel safe and comfortable sharing your opinions, as long as you're obviously not advocating for violence against others or hate against others. I think that you should be free to express your ideas and your opinions and your ideologies no matter who you are.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that the current budget that the CSUN has represents like all the students' needs?
I think that the current budget, it doesn't go far enough. I think that, the first issue being that there's only so much money available that's collected to serve the entire student body of nearly 28,000 people. So $1.2 million does a lot, but it doesn't go far enough. I think that we've allocated more money towards student organizations so that they have more access to the resources like that, because they do hold events on campus for other students as well. And I think that we're looking at saving more money administratively and cutting costs by having smaller teams that are more agile. And in doing so, we can put more of that money towards civic engagement, getting students registered to vote no matter who they want to vote for, getting students informed about the issues, and giving people the opportunity to actually share their voice.
Well, that is our time. Thank you to UNLV Student Body President Chris Royce for the interview. We'll be right back with a discussion on what UNLV students think about CSUN.